Hello, viewers of Northside Baseball. Welcome back to another video. Brandon and I are here to talk about a topic that we've had a good amount of thoughts on here. It's Matt Shaw. He is performing a little below, I don't want to say a little, but quite below average, unfortunately. And we have thoughts on it, we have comments on it. But Brandon, I'm just going to toss it over to you. What are your thoughts on Matt Shaw this season?
He's not ready for Major League Baseball. I do like him a lot. I was never super high on him, even as he sort of, went through the prospect rankings, and went up the system. I always thought that his swing wasn't super tailored for Major League Baseball. Even though his results haven't been there, I've actually started to grow more sort of fond of what he does and what he brings to the team. But yeah, he's not ready. I mean, it's just, again, we just talked about this in another video about Ben Brown. There's no margin for error with the Cubs this year. It's just they're in a pennant race, on with a really good team. And at this point, third base is just an offensive black hole. I mean, Matt Shaw was good in May when he came back. It was a lot of smoke and mirrors, but he's been disastrous in June. He can't hit fastballs. He's got a 169 batting average. He's got a below 500 OPS. He's been, according to WRC Plus, he's been 64% worse than, a replacement level hitter. I mean, 64% worse than so it's just, it's the case of, again, like Ben Brown, he's got a lot of long-term potential. I think he can be the third baseman of the future for this team, but it's not in 2025. He's just not ready. He just isn't ready. He just can't catch up to major league heaters. He just isn't, his timing's off, whatever the case may be. I'm ready to move on from Matt Shaw for 2025 because a good third baseman, especially a power hitting right-handed third baseman, which a couple of whom we'll talk about shortly, I think can really change the dynamic of the middle of this lineup. So I'll throw it over to you. I know we've been talking about a few names, but what's one guy you'd like to see the Cubs sort of pursue in a trade to fill this third base hole?
Well, before that, I will also say I think that to give Matt Shaw a little credit where credit is due, again, I think he was called up a little, you know, early, let's call it. I think, before he was completely defrosted, let's call it, if you want to call it that. I remember when he went up to play the Dodgers in the Japan game, right? He, barely produced a hit, if you want to even call it that. Like it brushed the ground and then some. That was his first major league hit. So yeah, I think that he's still warming up to major leagues. Um,
Mhm.
and like you said, there's like we said in a previous video, there's no margin for error right now in how well the Cubs are doing. With that, to introduce somebody that I think would be a great player to replace him. I think Alex Bregman would be a great player to replace him. Again, he's somebody that is a veteran to the MLB. He's been in there, for quite some time. He's a power hitting threat, an incredible defenseman, and he has a great contract with the Red Sox where he could decide he wants to leave at any time.
Yeah, I think he's obviously more tailor-made for like Fenway Park than Wrigley Field, but there's a reason the Cubs really, went hard after him in free agency this past offseason. It's that he's a really good third baseman. The Cubs need a right-handed hitting power threat right now. Obviously, they have Kyle Tucker and PCA, and then obviously Seiya Suzuki's like their main right-handed sort of power hitter. But having another one in the middle of the lineup would really change the dynamic and allow a couple of these other guys to get pushed down an extra spot. But regardless of all that, I think it's just, the defense that Bregman provides at third would look really good next to Nico Horner and Dansby Swanson in the middle of the infield. And again, that sort of production from the right-handed side of the plate is something not that the Cubs have been missing per se, but it's something that they're definitely not thriving in, as much as they are, with sort of some of their left-handed hitters, in the way that they've been hitting. And so I think he'd make a lot of sense. Obviously, he's got a 40 million, AAV, which Jed Hoyer, is probably, crapping his pants over something like that. We know that he doesn't like those super high, luxury tax, sort of salaries. So I don't know if he would be a perfect fit because of that, because the Cubs have been so strict about their payroll, even in a competing year, which is super frustrating. But regardless, I do think he'd be a perfect fit for the team. But in terms of their payroll, I'm not so sure. But as you bring up, I do think he's a really good player, and I do think he would be a perfect fit for the Cubs. But I'm going to raise a different player who I think, fits the salary needs of the team better and also brings the sort of very similar element of right-handed power, which is Eugenio Suarez for the Arizona Diamondbacks. He's hit, I think, 25 home runs this year already. He had a four-homer game earlier in the season. He is a really, really, really good power hitter. He's also a pretty strong defender at the hot corner. Maybe not Alex Bregman level, but he's a strong defender. And so, either way, I do think that both of them would fill that need that Matt Shaw is currently not filling. But I do really like Suarez for the Cubs. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think that like Bregman, he's a veteran player. Again, he's not so much a household name, but that doesn't really matter. Again, he is a power hitting threat. I think he would be more, like you said, he'd more be tailored to Wrigley Field rather than Bregman would. Um,
Hmm.
I don't want to be like, well, Bregman is probably more better the defensive player than Suarez is.
Hmm.
At the same time, I know the Cubs at this point, are still looking to save money. So from your point, yeah, I would say from a money perspective, Suarez is probably the player they're looking for. From a defensive perspective, I'd like them to go with Bregman. At the same time, we're only coming up with two players here. There is a myriad, a list of people that you could replace Matt Shaw with. We would love to hear that list in the comments below. Please let us know. Who do you think Matt Shaw should replace? Do you think he should stay on third base and just, kind of, as I called it, defrost and, kind of really figure out if he can get his swing better? Let us know in the comments below.